Last time, we took on and captured 4 of the Pokemon franchise's trios of legendaries, and there are some more trios coming our way this time. First, we have a different trio to fight. That is, the trio of Elite Four members hanging out in the nightclub at this time. Of course, the first one to tackle is the first one in the actual Elite Four challenge, Heather. The Maiden of the Wind has prepared 4 teams for us, and first up is Polar Peak Princess. As the name so implies, this is a battle on Snowy Mountain, effectively the same thing as our canon fight with her, and it even starts with her same opener, Crobat. Houndoom up front as opposed to Slowbro is a marked step down in usefulness. Destiny Bond goes first, even though I should have remembered Crobat would start with Tailwind. Or wait, never mind, I meant to say that was all calculated, as Crobat goes first next turn to kill Houndoom in 1 hit, thereby fainting to Destiny Bond. Yes, I totally knew that would happen. Into a Tailwind, I now put the Pokemon that did start our original fight with Heather, Slowbro. But here's something that Heather did not have. Articuno. You might think I should be okay with Slowbro here, but there's a reason she chose Articuno. Ominous Wind. Like in the Raikou battle last time, the mountain fields boost it, and it kills Slowbro outright. This battle death spirals in a hurry, as Camerupt is instantly taken out, Galvantula avoids the attack to do only a third with Thunderbolt, remember strong winds, and finally Mawile has to take a huge hit too to Ironhead it down. There's no Trick Room, and Heather is sending out her favorite to Vanillux, Mega Salamence. It yodels the shit out of Vanillux and beats him, and a Sucker Punch from Mawile is not suitable to taking down a whole Mega Pseudo-Legendary. On the next attempt, we put Slowbro back to the front to do the exact same first turns against Heather as our first fight with her, leading again into Articuno. Camerupt comes out, but instead of going for Lava Plume to melt the snow, I use Rock Slide. This also hits Ice's weakness, but though it doesn't kill, it flinches the Articuno. But RNGesus giveth, RNGesus taketh away. Second Rock Slide misses. Mawile can crack the Ice Bird with her head, but then wait! Up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's kinda both! Rayquaza! The good old Emerald Uber itself touches down in front of Vanillux, who I sent out thinking he had this on lock. But the only lock around here is Airlock, as my inadequate memory of legendary Pokemon abilities hurts me again. The effects of weather are cancelled around Rayquaza, and now Blizzard can miss again. If I want to hit Rayquaza without a mischance, I'd have to resort to 70 power Freeze Dry, and Rayquaza's double ice weakness is still its undoing. Gengar reappears, but with a Trick Room still alive, we switch back to Slowbro. One shot. After this though, Heather then took a page from Shelly. She sends out Yanmega, but Vanillux returns to Blizzard down the bug, only to hit the first Focus Sash of the episode and take back a harmful Air Slash. Hail cleans up the 1 HP Yanmega for me, but Trick Room is gone, and we still haven't dealt with Salamence yet. I'm not entirely sure Slowbro survives here, so I go into Mawile instead to Mega Clash. Sadly, even resisting the Hyper Voice doesn't keep Mawile alive. What's worse is that my suspicion about Slowbro was also correct, as she falls for the same reason. But even for the unmatched raw speed of a Mega Salamence, a Hellhound wearing a scarf beats it to then welcome a Yodelehi Who Death. That was close. You'd think having the same field that won me her Elite Four battle would make it trivial, but it just didn't fall into place the same way. Heather goes away from her dual typing to focus on her father's type more in the next theme team, Purple Poison Power. It's probably called that because she borrows something else from Corey, Corrosive Field. The non-Misty version of his gym field welcomes Houndoom and Salazzle. The fact that Lizard gets a Baneful Bunker off the bat is more than enough for me to Destiny Bond it immediately. A blind switch to Slowbro puts me face to non-face with Nihilego. Trick Room is strangled by Grass Knot. Mawile takes a Power Gem for over half to dust to Jellyfish, and now will be Zangoose. who is the most devastating threat on Heather's team. Why? Baneful Bunker, Belly Drum, Quick Attack. Dead, 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 dead. Holy fuck. 2 more losses followed, one of them learning that Slowbro does not get to Trick Room in front of Salazzle. I bring back my Metal Bursting Bastiodon for Salazzle instead. He protects through her bunker turn, takes a flamethrower to go to 1, then reverberates the damage to blast down the lizard. Nihilego gets sundered by Mawile again. And here comes another horrible poison Pokemon, Toxapex. I try in vain to taunt the Toxapex with Bastiodon, but he's too low on HP. I then try to do it with Vanillux, who will continue with Freeze Dry. He succeeds after failing against a Baneful Bunker first, cutting off a Venom Drench. Then 2 Freeze Dries plus Hail is better than 2 Scalds. You'd think Scald would be like Freeze Dry, where it hits ice super effective. Now comes the Zangoose again. What have I done to deal with it? Well, first, I use Camerup's Inferno Overdrive to overflow the Baneful Bunker protection, but it doesn't quite kill. Second, I throw away Vanillux due to the field effect damage tax. Finally, I use Mawile, and under no Trick Room, her Sucker Punch goes before Quick Attack. That or it didn't use it, but either way, Zangoose is down. After that, though, comes another heinous Pokemon, Breloom. I try not to deal with it by using Destiny Bond. It spores Houndoom instead, then Focus Punches him to the floor. Slowbro is also put to sleep, then Leech Seeded, but Slowbro wakes up in a hurry and Trick Rooms. That gives me my one chance to Psychic and kill, leaving me with the last opponent, Venomoth, who also Baneful Bunkers off its seed item. I know that means Slowbro is a sitting duck weak to Bug, so I jump to Mawile. She survives Bug Buzz and crushes the Moth to defeat Heather's second team. That allows us to move into her third alliterative team, Dancing Dragon Danger, which should be clue enough to what this fight may entail. The fact that Heather's only known Pokemon the whole game is Salamence. You'd think her Elite Four types would be Dragon Flying. This battle shows what could have been if that were true, as she leads with that very Pokemon. But as before, my Scarf Houndoom Destiny Bonds the Mega Salamence away. Of course, in a fight on Dragon's Den, Heather knows what she's doing. She goes next into Saphira's ace, Dragonite. Oh, of course. But at the very least, Greninja is here with Hydro Vortex to harden the magmatic field. It does very little to the dragon, and there it goes dancing. Dragonite then claws my frog into ribbons, and my only chance is Slowbro now. Thankfully, Dragonite has the Jitterbug, letting Trick Room go up. Stupidly, I didn't put an ice move back on Slowbro, so instead I use Rain Dance to stop any fire attacks from hurting Mawile or Vanillux soon. She survives a claw somehow, but not in extreme speed, and it's out to Vanillux. It lost its multiscale, so Blizzard wipes out the Dragonite, but not before it used extreme speed again to almost kill Vanillux. Now comes another Gym Leader's ace, Dragalge. Oh shit, in Trick Room? This is bad. It gets to move before Vanillux and Sludge Wave him. However, I have one slower than Dragalge. Drampa. My Dragon's Pulse is strong enough to kill that dragon, but next is another ace, her father's once again, Crobat. Once again, no ice moves on Drampa, but his hyper voice in the cave echoes to fully deafen Crobat. Echolocate that. Next is not an ace of anybody, but who cares? It's Rayquaza again. It extreme speeds Drampa first. He survives and goes berserk. Dragon Pulse wastes the sky-high Pokemon. But against the last Pokemon, my Trick Room has run out, and then Drampa is tired out by the hail. It's only Mawile left, a Pokemon suited against dragons. And Heather's last is Salazzle.
Oh, come on.
To come that close on a Sucker Punch and lose stings quite a bit. That Salazzle brought me down for a second time in the exact same way because it fakes out first turn, which took away one extra turn of Trick Room I eked out. Try number 3 puts Slowbro Trick Rooming and Ice Beaming down Dragonite. Dragalge dies the same, and Crobat is blizzarded. One Pokemon early, Salazzle shows up and steals a Trick Room turn with Fake Out, but Slowbro then kills it with Psychic. Rayquaza comes out last and tries again to kill Drampa with extreme speed, but that only enrages him and enables the one-shot. With that, we face Heather's final theme team, which pauses the childish naming of her previous 3 teams. This one stands to be a tribute to her father, in memoriam. It can also be construed to be named that because of the significant ghost typing she uses, this time in doubles. Alolan Marowak and Drifblim are up against Houndoom and Vanillux. That's actually fairly alright, especially because we're on New World. I know, I was happy to be on a killing field, crazy, but it boosts Dark Pulse to one-shot Marowak. Drifblim outspeeds for a Swift that does some damage, then almost dies to Freeze Dry, healing 25% with a Citrus. Joining the balloon next is Toxicroak. Unfortunately, it arrived to stop Houndoom from Dark Pulsing again, using Vacuum Wave on him to take him out. I was foolishly aiming at Toxicroak with Vanillux thinking that Drifblim was in hand, and Toxicroak only took a third while Vanillux is weary. He's hit with Vacuum Wave next turn, as Slowbro eats a Shadow Ball but lives to Trick Room. I expect nothing more than Toxicroak to Sucker Punch Slowbro as she readies Psychic, and Drampa aims his own Shadow Ball. Somehow, Toxicroak does not do it, and both of Heather's Pokemon are defeated first. 4th and 5th from Heather are Decidueye and Aerodactyl. Shit, is that gonna Mega? No, actually, but Decidueye does Sucker Punch this time, and Slowbro is down. A Shadow Ball against the Owl isn't enough, then a Crunch only makes Drampa mad. You want a Sucker Punch? Here's a Sucker Punch! Mawile goes first and beats Decidueye, and Drampa nearly gets the Aerodactyl with Ice Beam. But he froze it and took away its turn. Last from Heather, fittingly in this tribute, is Crobat. Iron Head and Ice Beam ends the battle for a first try. One Elite Four member done, and we move on to the next. Laura. She has 3 teams cultivated, and the first one, Wisteria, should clue you in if you know your floriculture. It's the same kind of flowers we saw when we battled her in the Elite Four. Last battle had the ultimate field effect, and now we do the penultimate field effect for the second time. We only battle Laura this time, but it will still be in doubles, starting with Whimsicott and Florges. That's incredibly unfun to deal with. Houndoom and Vanillux start us out, but I know what that Whimsicott is going to do. It's going to utilize Prankster to do something very irritating. Florges meanwhile uses a seed and its own ability to double grow the garden. Heat Wave needs to go off and burn this place to the ground. Somehow, Whimsicott did not Prankster, and Heat Wave launches. However, that Cotton Ball did have a Focus Sash to live, and Flower Veil greatly reduced the damage to Florges. In any case, the flowers are set alight. 2 attacks hit my side for much less damage than it would have been a second ago, and Vanillux light screens. Should have just used Blizzard, I think, but it was going to be weaker and I thought erroneously that it would put out the burning field. Speaking of which, the flames from the field consume Whimsicott and hurt Florges and Vanillux. To replace Whimsicott is Comfey. Next turn, I continue to ignore using Blizzard as Heat Wave hits both Pokemon and burns them both, while Freeze Dry does little. Houndoom, despite Light Screen, still falls to a hidden power, and Vanillux and the 2 grass types all survive even through the hellscape. I bring out Slowbro into 2 grass types, but she avoids taking any grass attacks, Vanillux being Drain Kissed away, and Slowbro eats a Moonblast to Trick Room. The pile of hazard damage in this fight takes out Comfey for me, Florges hanging on barely. But just as I send out Camerupt to bring more Hellfire, Laura sends out Tapu Bulu. The burning field changes immediately to grass. Oh, Laura, I'm so sorry. In 1 Lava Plume, the fires return. Both opponents decimated. Laura sends her last 2 grass types out to certain doom against Camerupt, Lilligant, and Roserade. 1 more Lava Plume, and all is ash. First try! Laura's next battle is named Sakura. Cherry Blossom, Pink Trees, shit, it's Fairy Tail! Can't burn this one down. In fact, fire is extremely bad now. Especially if, yep, there's Whimsicott again. Well, Houndoom's literal only choice is Destiny Bond, who is rewarded with Moonblast. Yeah, fire is really bad this fight, even though you want to use it so bad. Next is Magearna. What sucks is that it lands its signature Fluor Cannon on Slowbro to one-shot her. Awesome. Mawile has to take a reduced power one and barely survive, but she slams her head back into the Pokemon with the same types as her to one-shot it. Speaking of same types, Mega Mawile Mirror Match! Laura's wins. In Trick Room, Mawile is slower and hits camera up first with Iron Head, and he flinches. That's probably it. Yep, pretty much. On the next try, Slowbro goes up front to Trick Room first, but though she can, one Ice Beam doesn't beat Whimsicott and she faints. Then the Whimsicott facing Drampa still goes first because Nature Power is a status move, meaning Prankster gets to shoot a secret sword at Drampa. However, he lives, berserks, and fires Ice Beam. Then my dumb mistake of using Flamethrower on Mawile next is masked by being Sucker Punched. Yeah, I knew that happened. This time around though, with Trick Room, my Mawile goes first and bashes down the other one with Iron Head. Another new Ultra Beast has arrived. Kartana. A typical double weakness to fire becomes single weakness on Fairy Tail, but it has no special defense to speak of and dies to Lava Plume. Togekiss makes yet another appearance, but is frozen out by Blizzard. Magearna shows up again, but knowing Mawile beat it with one Iron Head last time, she does it again and without taking damage. And last is that Pokemon that continues to haunt this playthrough, Zarina. Just as Trick Room ended. That means that Mawile has to take a hit from it to strike back because Sucker Punch is off the table. It missed High Jump Kick. Thank you. That leads us into her final team, Octopetala, meaning literally 8 petals, as would naturally be Laura's favorite considering her love for the number 8. It also uses Starlight Arena, and besides the opening Bell Awesome, I'm not entirely sure what this team's theme really is. I go for Dark Pulse with Houndoom to avoid a mischance, but though it doesn't kill, neither does its Dazzling Gleam. A second Dark Pulse removes Blossom, and we get Togekiss again. That means it's time for Vanilluxe to heavily cripple whatever Starlight bonuses Laura wanted to use. Hail Falling takes out the field boost, but Vanilluxe flinches to one Air Slash before opening up on Togekiss after the second one, barely killing thanks to Hail. Gardevoir will show up next, similar to another Elite Four member who used this field. That Elite's field effect then pairs with her father's Mega Evolution. Mega Gardevoir only Calm Minds in front of Slowbro, who Trick Rooms and Surfs for only a third. My Mega Mawile headbutts the Gardevoir, and then has to contend with the first legendary we faced in post-game, Cresselia. Cresselia, though, was utterly helpless against Mawile, shooting only a weak Moonblast on the only turn it didn't flinch. But the next Pokemon kicks up the legendary difficulty by a sizable amount, Necrozma. Hail has stopped, which is too much extra power to give to Laura, so back to Vanilluxe. The Necrozma that comes out is the basic one. No stupid mane, or wings, or ultraness, but one Blizzard can't surmount it, and Vanilluxe goes down to Dark Pulse. Aggravatingly, when Mawile comes out to Sucker Punch the Psychic type, she fails. It used Moonlight. Come on. It's weaker under Hail, but Trick Room is gone now. Next turn a Sucker Punch hits but doesn't kill, and it blasts Mawile with Photon Geyser. She makes it through, but I know Necrozma is going to Moonlight again. But that's not enough for a Play Rough this time, and the Prism Pokemon is defeated. For the first of what will be far too many times. Laura then sends out her final Pokemon, which after Necrozma must be another legendary of absolute its Simisage. Okay. I feel like I'm really missing some kind of story here. Anyway, Laura's 3 fights are concluded, the last being a first try, and we move on to her partner for the last 3 theme teams today, Bennett. The first of those 3 is a game of intellect. Son of a... Here we go again, chessboard. Thankfully, it's only in singles, but look at what's up front. Shedinja, who has Pawn Sturdy. while Houndoom has to eat X-Scissor for a ton to roar it away, thankfully still having that. And now Typhlosion is out. That's his fucking queen! Nice pull, Houndoom, really. Houndoom is crushed by Ancient Power, and Slowbro eats those rocks too to Trick Room. Then she misses the kill on Typhlosion by a hair. I bring out my queen, Camerupt, and sneeze to take it out. Oh yeah, Bennett, bugs. So next out is Golisopod, of course it is. Vanillix meets it, both of us bishops, but then it uses first impression with a boost to deck Vanillix instantly. Oh, isn't this fun? I go into Drampa to deafen it with Hyper Voice, but though it doesn't kill, it tactically retreats before it attacks, which then brings back Shedinja. Then watch this. Hail was falling, but this scum Shedinja is holding safety goggles! This thing is a demon, but I am utterly saved by an unbelievably lucky burn from Flamethrower. It only Swords Dance before fainting to burn, but now Golisopod is back and gets to do what everyone says you can't. Make a second first impression. Drampa faints, and Camerupt can kill it with Earthquake, but Trick Room is out of turns again. A Bishop Chandelure is next, who goes first and Shadow Balls Camerupt for 95% of a one-shot. Mawile is my last Pokemon, but she's my king, and after a Calm Mind from the Chandelure, she smashes the Chandelier with a Sucker Punch to kill. Sadly, all the priority in the world doesn't do anything to help Mawile one-shot a Heatran. So we desperately need to poison the Shedinja, since everything besides Destiny Bond doesn't work on it. I have to take off the Choice Scarf from Houndoom since I'd rather not be locked into Toxic, so he gets a Life Orb instead. Attempt 2 hits the Shedinja with Toxic, who slices Houndoom deep before succumbing. Then Mawile meets Golisopod to tank the first impression. However, since she had priority, it didn't do that, and instead went for liquidation after my Swords Dance. But she lived, and Sucker Punched the bug to the grave. Now Heatran wants to do the same thing as last time, but it didn't reckon with this crit that likely mattered a lot. After this though, the same ludicrous sweep occurs again, as Mawile Sucker Punches everything that steps forward to unseat her from her throne. Chandelure, Typhlosion, and the last from Bennett, Escavalier. Excellent. But we're not done being subjected to killing fields by Bennett. The next battle is called Predisposition to Showmanship. Why does everyone love Big Top? After my last battle, Houndoom still doesn't have Choice Scarf. So after Bennett's opening act ace, Volcarona goes for Quiver Dance, I am able to switch to Dark Pulse. Dumbly, Heat Wave was neutral, but I was betting on Bennett being greedy, and his hubris is repaid. Destiny Bond works after Volcarona Quiver Dances 3 times, and after it's up, Volcarona kills Houndoom with Bug Buzz and the maxed out bug dies. Time to Trick Room. Oh shoot, that's a Scissor. Technician Bug Bite and Slowbro is down. That almost kills Camerupt too, but a quad damage Lava Plume does what it always does to Scissor. And then Pheromosa appears. Don't tell Bennett what Shelly nicknamed her Pheromosa. Mawile goes out to tangle with it, and it obviously goes first and hits High Jump Kick. Striker Bonus says, okay. Mawile survives that, and Play Rough ends the Pharaoh Focus Sash. Man, Sucker Punch is so nice to have. Now we get yet another new Ultra... What? My reset counter got Stage Fright. Now we get yet another new Ultra Beast, Buzzswole. A bug fighting type is not going to die to Sucker Punch, but Mawile and Camerupt are both too low on HP to survive a hit. Drampa and Vanillix are both weak to it too. Well, Vanillix will have to try. He manages to survive a base power power-up punch first for half HP, but Blizzard doesn't kill. No way Vanillix survives a second one now that Buzzswole has more attack. How dare I doubt the Clutch Master? The Striker bonus gives Buzzswole a weak result, and Vanillix survives to kill it. That's ridiculous. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Next out, Bennett takes a page from his Elite Four partner, Lilligant. My last full HP Pokemon is Drampa. But when Lilligant goes first with a boosted quiver dance, I can't kill it with flamethrower anymore. It answers next turn with pedal dance, and Drampa is put to bed. Its health is too low for Sucker Punch though, and with a battered team, I have to overcome one last hurdle that may be too much. Beedrill. Yeah, let's not pretend it isn't Mega. Well, if Sucker Punch doesn't kill it, then we lose. Holy shit, Sucker Punch killed it! Even with a base defense of 40, I didn't think Mega Beedrill would be so easily done in. Wild first try. Big Top goes back in the trash for another day as we move on to the final theme team today. Unfortunately, Bennett goes 3 for 3 for killing fields, but I'll give him a break, because at least his last one, Self-Reflection, is something we've only seen in one other major battle. The first killing field, Mirror Arena. Battling on his mother's field, he starts with a Pokemon Sarah would use, just not the same regional form, Ninetales. Aggravatingly, instead of Dark Pulsing there, I did a Destiny Bond punt and got rewarded with Fire Ninetales doing its best Alolan impression using Reflect. But after that, while I sit here wasting Destiny Bonds, it used Reflect. Again. Then next turn it used Solar Beam in one turn. Yeah, that's not killing Houndoom today, so we switch to Slowbro, who eats an extra sensory that wouldn't have worked on Houndoom. Are you okay, Ninetales? It does get it in gear though to nail Slowbro with Solar Beam, but she survives in Trick Rooms. One Surf doesn't win, but its Flamethrower wasn't enough either, so we follow up and draw First Blood on this comedy of errors. Bennett is finally using a bug Pokemon worthy of postgame now. Genesect. Too bad Camera Up came out to play. The bug with a cannon is Lava Plume by Mirror Arena's Nemesis, and Bennett's Reflect goes away. He puts out his Ace Volcarona next. Yeah, I guess you don't know I have Rock Slide, huh? Yeah, it didn't matter, I did. That one evasion stage just let Volcarona Ultra Instinct 3 Rock Slides. Camera Up goes down to that many fiery dances, and Trick Room is basically all gone. Then, my last chance to put another one up goes up in smoke when Slowbro came out to surf, only to also miss and die to Giga Drain. Trick Room is done now. You know who's also done? Me with Mirror Arena. I send out Drampa, who uses Hyper Voice, crits the Quiver Dancing Volcarona, one-shots it, and shatters the arena. Now the dance floor of the nightclub shows underneath, but my dragon is being met with a Ribombi. I still have Houndoom though, so he goes out and heat waves that fairy. Focus Sash. Houndoom is dazzled but not dead, landing a second heat wave, and then Bennett plays another Gen 5 mythical, Victini. Oh boy. I bring Mawile for Sucker Punch, but it lived. Blue Flare takes out my Mega, and it has less than 1/16 HP left. For that, I bring in Vanillix to start Hail, only to pull him to let Drampa take the fall. But he doesn't! He lives through Blue Flare and even Hail! But even so, can we beat the Galvantula that still remains? I guess the real question is, does Galvantula do 43 damage to Houndoom? Yes, so we win. Scuffed, but a win is a win. That's 3 out of 5 Elite Four finished for the game. As confusing as that sounds, let's take a look at the scoreboard. As it stands, only one thing changed. Another tie occurred in 5th place now, with Heather sneaking in with Purple Poison Power at 4 attempts, sharing the spot with Lumi. All the other frontrunners stay in place for another episode. That should mean we move on to the legendary portion of our show. But once again I decided to add something in later because I plan bad. It isn't much, but do you remember what I said about the other 2 battle facilities here? The Battle Pavilion and Factory both function like their counterparts in vanilla games, but your 5th opponent will be against a named character that isn't in theme teams. This is not going to be exhaustive by any means, but I'm going to show one of these battles too for the remainder of the series. I'm not really caring about winning or losing. I just want to get to these bosses to show you who you can fight. It'd be really hard to show every one of them since they appear randomly. And also because of the actual reason I didn't decide to do this 2 episodes ago. I am absolute garbage at these game modes. I don't even attempt to do factory. You show me 6 choices in the beginning, and I would absolutely pick every wrong choice. It's not like Pavilion, better known as Tower, is any better for me. I'm horrible at devising real teams that don't get to rely on shift mode, covering for threats ahead of time, and having pivots. The first 2 tries at Tower I lose to the first opponent. On the 3rd attempt, I found a team that seemed halfway decent. Greninja, Aegislash, and Talonflame. Greninja has an Assault Vest and 4 differently typed moves, which lets me get away from weaknesses and hopefully survive a hit. Aegislash lets me weaken enemy attack power with King's Shield and priority with Shadow Sneak. Otherwise, she has to survive a hit to Iron Head. She could also Destiny Bond, but doing that with a team of 3 is not likely to happen. Last, Talonflame gives me more priority, though his type coverage is not great. Mostly there to hopefully kill something with 110 power acrobatics if Aegislash couldn't do it. This got me to the boss, but on the way, we run into a familiar thief / treasure hunter / apparent poacher if you've ever played Final Fantasy VI. Something everyone should do. I barely got to the 5th opponent at all, only getting lucky because the last Pokemon on Fight 4, Mamoswine, was choice locked into Earthquake against Talonflame. This gave me a shot against the first tower boss we meet, Cass. But what's really unfortunate is that she led with Shaman to Greninja. I was hoping that I'd get to switch to Ice Beam, but Greninja's speed nor his Assault Vest lets him survive Seed Flare. This is so unfortunate, because here's Talonflame killing Shaman in 1 hit. After that is Deontay, which I know that Aegislash can kill and Talonflame will die to, so I must switch. Ancient Power clunks into Aegislash for almost nothing, but then he has to take an Earth Power for a ton. He lives though, and Iron Head hits to kill. Now, all I need is something I can hit. You of all people would have Darkrai, Cass. I think of whether going for King's Shield matters, but I go right to Shadow Sneak. Against the Dark type, of course, it's far from killing. All I have left is Talonflame at full HP. Can Brave Bird pull me through? No. Thunderbolt knocks out Talonflame. Sad way to lose. But like I said, this wasn't to win or lose, just to show who you can find. You'll see at least 1 boss per episode from now on, and maybe I'll win against them next time. Okay, enough horsing around. We've got a job to do. 3 jobs, actually. Head back over to the anomaly map and talk to the 3 attendants, starting with New. The PC storage sysadmin came to the nightclub for the free food as long as he pretends to work, and tells us that a really big Pikachu is making earthquakes in the Chrysolia region. Wait, more earthquakes? Is the Steelix at it again? As well, he says that there's been train noises coming from the forest. We'll take those vague clues and do something with them. Next up is yet another former meteor. One who had left long before the final conflict, Aster. He says it's good to see us again, saying he's not sure if the feeling is mutual, but he's here to do his part and make her proud. His mission involves going back to Route 4 and finding out about 3 portals opening up, as well as strange weather patterns. Lastly, with a brand new desk job is Sandy. Now she's safe from the elements, the animals, and the lawsuits. She gives us a report that is much more direct than the previous 2. A Cobalion was sighted on Route 3 by circus goers and ran off. She is pretty sure there's another portal on Route 3 somewhere. She wishes us luck from behind that counter and nowhere else. Of these 3 quests, we're starting with Aster's, which will take us back to Route 4, particularly the area that was around Glass Hell. Head east out of Calcinon to reach that same rock wall and start searching. The first one you should go to can be reached by going north from this choice of rock wall. After ascending another short one, go directly to the left and slide down here to find the first gate of the episode. You'll now be in a realm that is very rocky, with a ladder extending up into space. Go up the ladder, then climb down another. Walk a short distance and go up and down the ladders again. When you descend to this point though, you might think this is a dead end, but you can hop this gap to the north. However, when you walk around the twisting path after, you'll discover this is a dead end. So what do? There weren't any other ladders or paths. Well, maybe you noticed when we were high up that down below, there was a lot of smaller scenery. That's the lower area, obviously. But there's something strange about it. Why are there all those glass-like bridges down there? They aren't there when we descend the ladders. The thing is, they are. You just can't see them. Thus you learn the gimmick of this section of the New World. Invisible bridges are your ticket to finding your ways to the end of each course in this quest. To be clear, there are 3 courses. You must use the high ground to find out where those invisible bridges are, then go down and walk to where they are, using the land shapes as your guide. If you ever find that you have no way to advance, simply get up high and look for another bridge to cross, and also make sure there wasn't a small gap between rocks. You'll get to progress linearly for a while, until you notice this Z-cell floating on a lower platform. You can't jump to it, and let me tell you, I needed Big JRA to help me figure this one out. You have to go back a few screens to stand right here and move right, which is supposed to act like walking underneath the lower landmass to come out the other side and obtain the Z-cell. I'm pretty sure this is the hardest Z-cell to get, but I'm probably going to be proven very wrong. Anyway, continue on to the left and up to climb this ladder. You won't be required to cross any more light bridges before you climb up to a meteorite holding one of the orbs we saw from Cresselia's domain. Take it to get a rock to bridge the gap to the north, and you'll cross it to see a teleport that goes back to the beginning, and 2 visible bridges that lead nowhere for now. Enter the teleporter, and you can exit the New World through the same gate. Was there nothing else? Not yet. Only when we complete all 3 courses will we accomplish the mission. The second door to reach is far to the south of here, past the Jumping Squares River Junction here. Go south and southeast to this corner, descend, and here's door number 2. This section will start off the same as the other, except that it will not try to hide its trick. As soon as you climb the first ladder, you are on an isolated island. Down below, the ladder you just climbed is right of a light bridge, so slide back down the ladder and go left across the mauve space here. You'll move forward for a while until you dead end again. You could go back to the Bird's Eye Island to find where the next bridge is, but it's not hard to deduce it yourself if you already know they exist. Walk right and up across some land, then back over nothing to reach this ladder. It's at this point that you'll discover the tricksy solution is actually back before the very first ladder. A bridge extends left of the gate, and on the next island, another bridge forms a reverse C shape to continue. Go there and defy gravity some more to go up this ladder. All you have to do next is go left when you climb back down. Deduce another bridge's existence here, then here. Cross some short gaps and finally ascend this ladder to find the second orb. Touching it connects back to the warp from the first course. I'm not sure if this was just me, but when I entered the warp, it brought me back to the gate from the first course, which sent me all the way back to the northern end of Route 4. It turns out that to get to the final gate, it's much faster to fly to Agate City instead. On the way to the river on the east side of town, we actually need to stop in at someone's house. Bees. Since the opening of the New World, our understanding of Pokemon has expanded, and Bee has become enchanted with this new class of Pokemon, the Ultra Beasts. She wants you to catch every single one of them. Yep. Welcome to Stage 2 of the Catching Side Quest. This might get you to wondering, yeah, where are those Ultra Beasts? Aren't they going to be part of their own quests? Nope, they don't get legendary treatments. Instead, they are going to be wild denizens of the New World. During specific quests in the New World, the wild encounter tables are going to include Ultra Beasts. Dust off your magnetic lure. You're going to need it. As of course, the Ultra Beasts get to sit at the lowest encounter rates of those sections, but if you've already done the rest of the Pokédex side quests, then the magnetic lure can only attract the Ultra Beasts, thus saving half of the trouble. The other half is catching them, and I'm probably going to just use Beast Balls to do it because they are literally useless otherwise. Don't worry, I'll show their shiny forms too. Also, she will have a reward for when we do accomplish this feat. It will be some time though before we have all 11 of those species. Back to our quest. Go up the waterfalls in the northeast of town to access this river of Route 4, which is where the last gate is. Enter to take on the last course of the quest, which starts by going southwest and going up the stairs to this ladder. Like the previous course, the upper tier isn't doing any misdirection. You'll find there's a bridge at the southeast corner of the initial large rock. When you go right and down, you'll once again either need to have checked the rest of the lower map from above, or feel your way up to this highest ledge. The next ladder shows this course played a similar trick. Back at the start is a bridge higher than the first one you crossed. This lets you get to a higher level and hop over some gaps to eventually find this ladder, already completing the third course, and opening a new way north. At this point, you should save and prepare for a legendary battle. Though the hints are pretty subtle, you could have brought a team suitable to take on the Weather Trio. Tornadus, Thunderous, and Landorus. They gang up on you all at once, and the clash begins. Tornadus is up first, and it's not a good sign when Houndoom with Choice Scarf is slower and dies to one hurricane. Amazingly, Slowbro survives a boosted full power knockoff and doesn't even put up a 5-turn Trick Room because of it. New World gives it 8 turns anyway. Probably will want to remove the item in that case if I don't win. All 3 of the species in the Weather Trio are flying, and furthermore, weak to ice. So I put Ice Beam on Slowbro to nearly kill, as she faints to another knockoff. So that means of course it's time for my favorite ice cream. You think Game Freak will eventually make a regional variant of Vanillux and call it Chocolux? I knew that more New World was coming, so I prepared Vanillux with Ice Beam instead of Blizzard to avoid the accuracy drop. He quickly mops up Tornadus, and next, for some reason, is the Djinn with double weakness to ice, Landorus. Vanillux remains of course, but this is when you're going to realize why all of the Pokeballs on my opponent's side of the UI are all gold this time. That's Landorus, Therian form. Oh yeah, this is a packed fight of 6 legendaries, all incarnate and Therian forms. Landorus T popped a seed to go Quint boost and recharge. It doesn't even give him 1 turn of survival against Vanillux. Then Landorus reincarnates to try again. What was going to change? Up next is Thunderous Incarnate, but this one has an option. Prankster Thunderwave. Ugh. Vanillux ignores it this turn to one-shot another Djinn, coaxing out Tornadus T. Then, an infuriating set of turns occurs. Vanillux loses his turn to Paralysis, but is the clutch master and survives a Heat Wave. He then loses his turn again, only to survive knockoff 2! Unfortunately, before he can capitalize on his unkillability, Trick Room runs out, so he's finished off. I go out next to Galvantula, well suited since the ground Pokemon are both down now. Against the only pure flying type in Gen 7, I wanted to use Gigavolt Havoc, but Tornadus is too fast and burns up my Spider. Camerupt comes out, and then I forget to Mega Evolve him because I'm not used to using his Mega Evolution right now. He survives a Hurricane and avoids self-damage, but only does half with Rock Slide. He falls to a second hit, and my only one left is Drampa. Drampa loses his Assault Vest to a knockoff, but kills Tornadus, and my final opponent is the 3rd Therian form, Thunderous. When I see that it popped a seed to force itself to recharge, I think maybe I had the chance. Had I gotten Berserk to activate, maybe. But a regular Ice Beam falls short, and its Flash Cannon takes down Drampa. 1 turn too little. If only Vanillux hadn't lost 2 of them! For that reason, I start the fight the same way, just with Slowbro up front and holding nothing. She's hit this time with Hurricane instead, but muscles through Confusion to Trick Room, and then lands the same Ice Beam too. From here, the first 3 legendaries all fall out of the sky the same way to Vanillix, getting back to Thunderous. I wonder about doing something else so Vanillix won't get paralyzed, but I decided just gamble Vanillix avoiding paralysis. That gamble utterly pays off, as Vanillix one-shots all 3 of the last Pokemon. 42% chance to avoid full paralysis 3 times in a row. Outstanding work, Vanillix. With their defeat, the genies run away like the Reggies did in several directions. However, pursuing them each will be much easier. The only thing standing in your way this time are a bunch of jumping squares floating in space. Eat a light shard first if you're damaged badly. I found out I should have saved this one since I was mostly okay. I head to the right first and see Tornadus floating on a small island awaiting me. These jumping squares are really easy to traverse to get over there, so I come right up to it and fight. With the ability to save beforehand, I can use glitter balls to catch these 3 as shiny without worry. However, I'd soon learn that my luck catching Pokemon without Reborn balls is going to be way worse this episode. Tornadus ends up being one of the best ones, only taking 1 reset and getting caught on the first ball that time. Once again, I'll hold these 3 off to show their shiny sprites once we leave the new world. Now I go to the left, where we see Thunderous. Yet again, the jumping squares are really easy, but that's not at all the case with this catching session. Thunderous did not want to sit still, and it was more than capable of knocking out my Pokemon who aren't fighting back. It took quite a few resets, but only 2 glitter balls to secure. That leaves 1 more legendary, Landorus. This time the jumping blocks will require some thought, because approaching Landorus directly will only loop you around him. Instead, go back to the first square from the center island and jump left now. Follow these squares around the outside of the northern meteorite, and you'll reach the Abundance Pokemon. Landorus was troublesome because I kept killing it, but when I got it low, it only took the first 3 balls I threw to catch it. With that, the Weather Trio is captured, and we can quietly leave the new world. Now let's appreciate the alternate artwork for each of them. All of their clouds turned dark, and they each got a different color. My favorite being Maroon Tornadus. With the first quest down, let's move on to the next one that came from New. We have to go back to Cressolia Forest, which we do by way of flying to Spinal Town. Where we need to head is south to where the stranded train was that we first read the journal from the doomed captain. Going to the right from that train leads us right away to the next gate. You'll enter the new world in a place that once again looks pretty similar to the rest of the landscape so far. In fact, you're likely to pass right through to another gate that will lead you out of the new world. However, transitive as this location is, it isn't without interest. Put on your magnetic lure and encounter a Pokemon. Had you gotten every other Pokemon up to this point, then you'll encounter Guzzlord. Houndoom Dark pulses it a few times and manages to survive its attack in order for me to throw a single Beast Ball and snag it. Now our Poipole is joined by another Ultra Beast. Speaking of both of these Pokemon and also Naganadel, the evolution of Poipole I could have gotten if I had taught it Dragon Pulse, here are all their shiny forms. Poipole and Naganadel look like alien bees, while Guzzlord just has an orange mouth. Now this area is clear, and we can exit out the eastern gate into a new location, one that you could have seen on your map the entire game. Cressolia Deepwoods. This untamed wilderness, unlike the new world, actually does have traces of human activity, so your item finder will actually pick up things over here. As well, here's an indicator that the wild Pokemon keep getting more exotic. Yeah, you can just find Sceptile here. As you walk around, you'll see some ruins standing here, and upon one of them, a Smeargle jumps trying to get your attention. We'll get back to him in a minute. Just scrub through the woods finding all the items you... Who the hell is this? That's Ranger Tack, and he wants to battle. What's this? Yet once more, the trainer theme changes for the rare trainers you find in post-game. This is Bede's battle from Sword and Shield, remixed by Glitch X City. The intensity of this song steps down from Champion or Frontier Brain themes, but it is a great track nonetheless. It captures the different tone of open exploration that post-game is trying to sell, rather than the arduous march that the main game conveyed. As for Tak, he has a team of 6, and he doesn't mess around. People besides you have post-level 100 Pokemon, and good compositions. That being said, there are enough engaging fights in post-game for me to be hashing out the random trainers even if they are fully stacked. The way I can justify skipping them is by showing the fact that I encountered a second trainer here, this Ace trainer, and beat him with only 4 of my Pokemon, some of which were already damaged. Once you've scoured the entire area with your item finder, head back here to begin Smeargle's Jungle Gym. All over this ancient ruin, Smeargle has graffitied arrows and numbers. Despite how mad it would make the museum nearby, it helps us tremendously. Walk to the right to find this statue first, which has a secret switch. When you hit it, the wall that blocked off Smeargle lowers and we can talk to him. In case you don't remember, this is the Smeargle from the Spinal Town Museum, who takes out his noteboard to write messages to us. We're late, he says, and we need to go up to make the big man quiet. This must have to do with the apparent earthquakes. He says we can follow the numbers up to reach the big man. As he says, start by clicking the statue marked with number 1, then the one on the right marked 2. Up the stairs, the pillar is marked 3 and also has a secret switch. A new staircase becomes available, and we mount it to find more numbers. Click on switches 4, 5, and 6, then head to the right. More stairs rise up, but first, walk over to the right and up to this other small tower where an item awaits. Just as soon as we caught the Weather Trio, we now obtain the Reveal Glass. Now those 3 Djinn can be transformed from their base incarnate forms to their Therian forms. Get back to the instruction manual painted on the ruins and find that number 8 is here, but number 7 is on the other side of these statues blocking your path. The green arrow you saw walking up here is matched by another green arrow pointing to this statue. Flicking it will make the Arceus statues to the left both vanish, letting you cross to this platform with another switch and those Arceus statues in the way again. Flip this switch and they jump back behind you. Now you can hit switch 7, then work backwards to switch 8, and then go forwards again. The number 9 is to the left up this next tier, and flipping that switch will cause strength boulders to appear. They are circled by particular colors, and nearby 2 cavities are marked with those colors. Push the boulder marked with red into the left nook, and the one circled with blue into the right one. Doing this raises the platform on top of the pillars between these nooks. Cross over that pillar to reach this section, where we continue with switch 11. I guess 10 was both of those crudely drawn 10s Smeargle used to encircle the boulders. Switches 11, 12, and 13 open a small railing to the left, letting you follow the green arrow to switch 14. Nothing happens to the uneven pillars ahead, but head back down to find that this gate has lowered, and 3 arrows point to the tall pillars. The platforms are out of sight from here, but press the 2nd, 4th, and 5th pillars, then ascend the stairs again to find a complete pathway to the top of the ruins. Up here, another doorway sits waiting for us. Walk inside to find still more rocky landscape, this time with some pillars around. Hang a right here and jump over some floating rocks to take the floating Z-Cell. At this point, there's nothing else to do but make sure your Pokemon are healed and step forward to the Lord of this ruin. It is also the Lord of one of the trios we caught last time, Smeargle's big man, Regigigas. Regigigas is about to use practically the same team as the Golems from last episode, starting with their same opener, Stakataka. Houndoom up front like always is probably not going to die to it, so he'll go for Dark Pulse. The best case scenario is granted to me. The boost on New World for Dark Pulse leaves Stakataka under half, and it flinched. thereby making it completely irrelevant. Regigigas is next sending out Tyranitar, just like his 3 lessers. However, Gigas does them one better, Mega Tyranitar. But even with the massive increase to its defense, Heracross runs in with close combat first and still one-shots it. Now what would a Regigigas fight be without all 3 Regis? Starting with the one with the greatest defense, Regirock. But yet again, I make a mockery of my opponent by Dark Pulsing it with Houndoom and stealing its turn with a flinch, allowing for another 2-hit kill. The leading Regi sends out Regice next, which is wide open to Heracross. The Ice Golem breaks into 1,000,000 pieces, and Regigigas has done enough spectating. It will take us on now. The Slow Start Giant uses a seed for the Quint boost, but even with that speed stage, Heracross can close combat it 2 times in a row and knock it out. What's unfortunate is that Heracross has run out of close combats, which is my bad play for not maxing out the power points on it. Instead, for the final Pokemon, Registeel, I bring out Houndoom again. It also gets the Quint boost, and Houndoom now frustrates me. He uses Heat Wave for a small amount of damage, but Registeel's only response is Seismic Toss. 114 damage at a time should be too slow for Registeel to beat Houndoom, except that Houndoom missed Heat Wave. Twice. He falls, and when Hariyama comes in, there's a big problem. Hariyama used up 4 of his 5 close combats against those 2 trainers in the Deep Woods, and I didn't restore the move's PP. When I tried to finish off the Registeel, it went first and used Rest. Close combat takes way over half its HP, but Hariyama has none left. When I try knockoff, I find that I cannot kill with one more of those before it wakes up. For the second time, I have no other move but to Belly Drum to hopefully slam Registeel with maximum power. It wakes up, but still has no other move to use against Hariyama but Seismic Toss. Having 150 HP left, Hariyama survives the attack and flattens the stubborn Registeel. It really felt like a reversal was beginning to occur, and I was getting upset that it was all avoidable by just healing power points. I found out afterwards that I dodged a bullet like I wouldn't believe. That Stakataka at the beginning had a Focus Sash and would have used Trick Room as soon as it could. The flinch I gave it was literally the only way to stop that. And this fight fell so easily when it probably could have crushed me. Now it's time to catch the Regigigas, and I know I'd be in a world of pain if I blow this. However, I have a lot of Pokemon alive still, so I can hold off using the Reborn Ball for a few turns. The problem is I'm not sure at all if Heracross up front here would kill with either Mega Horn or Stone Edge. The last thing I want is to crit it and ruin everything. Instead, I decide to just do a cold throw with a glitter ball. Oh, are you kidding me? A Hail Mary glitter ball and I caught it? I said it already. The Regis are bros, and Regigigas is the biggest one. 1 glitter ball on no damage. If a glitter ball has the same catch modifier as a regular Pokeball, that was a 0.3% occurrence. Our reward for catching the colossal Pokemon Shiny is this. Awesome design. The Reborn Cardinal colors adorn the now jet black body. With a first try legendary battle and amazing catch like that, we start to leave the new world. But our elation is cut down when we head down the stairs. At that moment, the spears of light that Arceus had drawn against Lynn before she took control of it now suddenly appear around us. Finally, after several excursions into the new world, the creator of these landscapes now surrounds us with her voice once again. Lynn. She makes light of her terrorizing of Reborn with the new legendaries. She says it's too bad she can't just spawn new ones whenever she wants. Except she can. Another Regigigas is suddenly planted right in front of us, generating from thin air. But as quickly as it appears, Lynn says, "Just kidding," and erases the Pokemon from existence instead. She says, though, that she will keep making much more fun for us, using her infinite legendaries. With that, the power-drunk girl's presence vanishes, as we contemplate how much worse she can do with the power of the god of Pokemon at her fingertips. No matter what, we must keep fighting. We exit the new world now, and come upon Smeargle waiting for us. He takes out his noteboard to say thanks for stopping the big man, but there are other bigs out there. He asks if he can help, and we accept. Smeargle says he's no battler, but instead will be secretary to us at a later time. In other words, he'll be going off to the nightclub to assist like the others. Now there's only one more quest to take on, the one we got from Sandy. Go to Route 3 and find out what's going on with a Cobalion. Heading to Route 3, either from Agate Circus or Calcenon City, make your way into the first cave from the left that led into the LCCC where Meteor had infiltrated. In this very first cave at the north end, the next gate stands. On the other side of this door, you're going to see someone familiar. Anastasia. The circus ringleader is exasperatedly chasing something, running off without noticing us. Head north to follow her, where we will meet her quarry, the Cobalion, wreathed in an anomaly. She begins to chastise it for causing problems at her circus, but it doesn't understand English and just leaves. That's when she notices us, surprised we didn't fall out of the world, and asks if we can help her. She says that the Cobalion's presence has been taking patrons of her circus away, either by frightening them or intriguing them to go chase it. She's been trying to stop it herself, but has not been successful, saying sadly that her dad would be disappointed in her performance. But before she expounds further, from literally nothing, an anomalized Virizion comes into existence. Her jaw falls at the sight of this, but she becomes more angry and starts chasing the Cobalion again, telling us to chase the Virizion. We head left to give chase to the grassland Pokemon, but we are suddenly thrust into an action sequence. This is similar to the encounter we had with Fern in Victory Road. From the bottom of the screen, blades of wind will fly at us 3 at a time. Lay off the item finder and the speed up function to dodge more easily, and quickly approach the attacking Virizion to the south. When you get close, the legendary will get frightened and run off. Run to the right and cross some rocks back to the blue-colored landmass, where you find both Virizion and Cobalion back to back, Anastasia and I pincering them. But something is missing here. Could it be the third Sword of Justice? Terrakion materializes next to its other 2 brethren, and now, rather than run, the 3 legendaries decide they're ready to fight. Anastasia isn't, but we surely can't run from a battle. You know what's been missing from these mandatory legendary battles? Doubles! But we are assisted by Anastasia, and as it turns out, this is a lopsided battle in our favor. The 3 swords only have 6 Pokemon total. One for All and All for One send out their first Pokemon, the Cobalion Anastasia chased, and Silvally, which initiates this. Yes, just like Arceus, the Silvally randomizes its type on New World. Wonderful, nothing like raw RNG. Horribly, it rolls ground first, which is awful against both my Houndoom and Anastasia's Luxray. I use Heat Wave to blast a lot of HP from both opponents, but Cobalion eats a berry to put both opponents down only 1/3. Then that Cobalion stabs Houndoom with a secret sword and kills him. Silvally decided to start a Tailwind instead of hurting Luxray badly, but Luxray can't capitalize with a knockout. Its superpower brings Cobalion to red. To a Tailwind, I have no good choice but to get Trick Room started with Slowbro. Turns out, their side decided to go full status moves. Cobalion using Stealth Rock, yuck, and Silvally using Parting Shot on Luxray, reducing its attack and special attack. To replace Silvally is Silvally. Okay, this one rolls grass to start and boosts itself with a Seed, meaning it will be ready to attack after this turn ends. Luxray hidden powers Cobalion to take it down, replaced by Terrakion while Silvally goes Fighting type. Terrakion also Quint boosts, but won't take this turn like the Silvally will. I decide to Psychic the RKS Pokemon, but it only does a third, and Superpower from Luxray is quite weak now, barely hurting Terrakion. Silvally's multi-attack destroys Luxray now, changing to Water type, and a Pokemon I usually hate to see comes from Anastasia next, Primarina. For once, am I glad to see you. Hope you used this Trick Room well. Indeed it helps, as Slowbro and Primarina focus down Terrakion, and Primarina is able to survive the Water-typed multi-attack from Silvally. Unfortunately for it, RKS System dropped it on Dark-type in front of a Primarina that just used Moonblast. To its side, the final Sword of Justice Virizion appears, also popping a seed. I use Ice Beam on Virizion hoping that Anastasia takes out the Silvally since it is the only one that can act this turn. To be honest, I'm not sure why I did forego the stab with Psychic, as Ice Beam does little, but Primarina's Moonblast decimates the Silvally. But after this, Silvally shows up. A third Silvally, because this one has full HP. It also uses another magical seed for those same 5 stages of stats. However, these recharge turns are not doing them any favors, as it keeps reducing their side to 1-on-2 for the turn. As such, Trick Room enables us to focus down Virizion easily. Their luck, converse to mine, is horrible, as the Silvally becomes Dragon type while it's now by itself. Ice Beam and Moonblast wipe it out, and all that's left is the weakened Silvally. It becomes Fire type. Once more a terrible choice for it, and speaking of choice, Primarina still uses Moonblast despite being resisted, but Slowbro Surf does most of the work first, and we end this battle with a victory on the first try. But I'm going to stop you right there. Don't get excited yet. This isn't over. For these 3, their anomalies now dissipate, forcing them to return to their earlier strategy. Run. Cobalion and Virizion run left and right, but when Terrakion tries to go north and hits the tree, it runs south, out of the New World. Anastasia is incredibly flustered by this, now that none of them are dealt with still, and one is back in our world. She becomes defeated, saying that these issues that keep arising only make the job she inherited from her father much too difficult, stealing the fun she used to have by just performing. She then says she'd love to have a word with whoever is doing all this legendary business, that word being stop. See, you kinda can. She probably already heard you, but I don't know if you should. She admits that herself, thinking that only a champion, or at least a gym leader, should be trying to stop these situations. Someone like Samson, she says. Finally, she says she's not sure she's up to dealing with the 3 loose legendaries again, and asks us to go and find them, then come tell her once they are taken care of. Fine, more for me. First one I go track down is the one that exited the New World, Terrakion. This isn't a roaming legendary thing. The Terrakion is in one static location. Head right to exit this cavern and up the collapsed bridge. Then over the hill and down into the next cave. Terrakion is in the north end of this cavern, butting against the wall, but will turn to face you when you approach. And then began the worst legendary catching session yet. Terrakion was an asshole. At first it seemed like it would be easy enough when Psychic put it at 1 HP, but restricting myself to 10 Glitter Balls maximum per Pokemon quickly made this a failed attempt. Also, Psychic doesn't always let it stay alive. This bastard also didn't caught in the literal best scenario possible. I brought it to red with Ice Beam and froze it. How often do you actually get to try catching a frozen Pokemon? You'd think that would be it. But no, it sat there and shrugged off 5 Glitter Balls in a row. Finally, after a dozen failures, it got caught, eating up 9 out of 10 Glitter Balls before doing so. Thanks for wasting all those points. I'll show you this shiny trio once again after we've caught all of them. Now it's time to go back to the New World. From the southern platform, head right to cross to a gray island, at the top of which is Cobalion. Cobalion was much more cooperative, taking only 2 resets, but still requiring 6 Glitter Balls for a catch. We then head back over to the green area, and find the last sword, Virizion. It took more resets, but only 3 throws, and we have caught all of the Swords of Justice. With this, it's time to return to Anastasia. She thanks us for doing the work for her and is ready to leave. But this place is not ready for us to leave. A flash of light reveals another door, beckoning us. Anastasia turns knowing that there's more nonsense to see, but finds the resolve to step through the door first. We follow her, and then the first wave of horrible post-game memories returns to me. This screen. Oh god, it's beginning again. Walking north enough, you'll see Anastasia first, as the ground beneath turns from rock to sand. Stepping up beside her, we find that just like Regigigas, there's the 4th Pokemon here that's associated with the trio we just caught, Keldeo. It is ringed in an anomaly like the others, but Anastasia is ready for this one, until it manifests an entirely new batch of Swords of Justice! The anomaly made copies of Virizion, Terrakion, and Cobalion, and then the Keldeo steps forward to battle with its allies. Let me formally welcome you to the first of the post-game hell fights. We're in doubles again with Anastasia, and this time, we don't have a numbers advantage. Keldeo and its Spectral Swords of Justice number 12 total fighters. What's more, this isn't on New World, but Ashen Beach. This will prove to be far worse than New World for this fight. Cobalion once again leads, but this time with a Weavile. Houndoom and Luxray start again, and despite that vile Weasel being so fast, a Choice Scarf Heatwave manages to go first and KO Weavile, but extremely unfortunately, Cobalion survives and uses Stealth Rock like last time. This is going to be unbelievably bad this time around. I'll explain why soon. Luxray knocks out the Cobalion for me, so you may think we're doing pretty well. That's about to swing hard the other way. Como-O and Seismitoad. Yeah, that covers us. Restrained to only Heat Wave, Houndoom does very little to these two. Then Como-O uses its exclusive Z move, Clangorous Soul Blaze, to take us both down and obtain a Quint boost. I tried to Trick Room with Slowbro, but a Clanging Scales and Mud Bomb put an end to that idea, as Primarina beside me made the best move it could, Moonblasting the Como-O to take it out. For the double weakness to Freeze Dry, Vanillix appears, but I'm met with Togekiss wanting to steal my attention, and also Vanillix's life. It goes first and nails him with a boosted Aura Sphere to kill him. Seismitoad must have wanted to hit Vanillix too, because his redirected Focus Blast does little to Primarina, but she can't get the kill on the Toad with a Moonblast. Then I bring out Talonflame, and here's where Stealth Rock is a huge issue. Talonflame immediately loses half his HP. Not only is that awful in its own right, but now Gale Wings, something I desperately need here, is broken. But in this moment, against these two, Talonflame should be faster, but I should have been Psychic and aimed at Togekiss, because Acrobatics would have then nailed the star of this show, Keldeo. Instead, Talonflame knocks out the Seismitoad, but Primarina finds a way to piss me off even when it's on my side. It doesn't have a choice item. It just switched to Ice Beam, which was good for the Togekiss, but not for the Keldeo. Moonblast would have been awesome for it, and also awesome for what this Pokemon actually is, Zoroark. The Illusionist survived the Ice Beam, but did get frozen. Terrakion is here now to wall out my Talonflame, so I use him to kill the Zoroark before being crushed by Rock Slide. A dodged flinch lets Primarina Moonblast the Terrakion and one-shot it. Heracross goes out now to the unknown opposition, who turn out to be Togekiss and Virizion. Disastrously, they both outspeed us to Giga Drain Primarina nearly to death, and then Dazzling Gleam one-shots Heracross and flicks Primarina down. And that's when I have no choice left but to unleash a new combatant. If you saw the UI in this and the last fight, you may have noticed that there was a mystery Pokemon in my party. That Pokemon is a new option for my Mega Evolution slot, Alakazam. I had prepared this Alakazam a long time ago, long before the end of the main game, but I never found a time to use him. His debut actually came about because of a theme team that is yet to be shown. However, against a legendary team that uses all fighting, he was a great choice. That's besides the fact that Mega Alakazam is insanely fast, the same as Mega Aerodactyl. I needed different coverage than Mawile or Aerodactyl, and he was the one that was ready to tap in. His EVs aren't amazing by any means, which is me being lazy, but his results will speak for themselves. Anastasia puts in a Hawlucha as I Mega Evolve to fire Psychic at Virizion. Something to know about Mega Alakazam is that it has Trace, but this time it grabs Hustle. Totally useless to Alakazam, but no matter, Psychic one-shots Virizion. What's awful is that Hawlucha's Flying Gem Acrobatics fails to kill Togekiss, who then nearly kills Alakazam with Dazzling Gleam, Hawlucha fainting. I'm too far behind for Alakazam to make up all this ground. Donphan joins my side, but Vaporeon is sent out from the left side. I had Energy Ball on Alakazam earlier, but it's Shadow Ball now. So my best bet is Psychic on Vaporeon. Anastasia helps me by shooting the Togekiss with an Ice Shard to finish it off. My steam has run out though, as Vaporeon uses Muddy Water and hits both of us, knocking out our whole side. Anastasia is alone now, sending out a Pyroar, but a Charizard shows up from Keldio's roster. A Charizard that Mega Y evolves. Pyroar does incredibly well all things considered, as it hidden powers the Vaporeon out, then dodges a Focus Blast. Only then, he's met with Lucario, and here's another first. The other quote-unquote trainer uses their Mega Evolution, Mega Lucario. Yes, you can now expect to fight 2 Megas per battle. Pyroar can't dodge another Focus Blast, and Anastasia's last, Blaziken, is hit with Psychic long before it got fast enough. This is the first horrible battle of postgame. I remember clearly getting here and being stuck on this screen for so long, I started to go crazy. This Keldeo fight reality checks you so hard from the way the earlier legendary fights have gone. The difficulty of this fight is brutal, and yet, we are still so early on. Now, how the hell am I going to improve my chances? There's one thing that needs to be done. Cobalion needs to die in one hit, but there's a huge issue around this. With a Life Orb instead of a Choice Scarf, Houndoom is no longer able to go before Cobalion. Weavile just did something crazy too. It used Beat Up on Cobalion. It does barely any damage, but it does give Cobalion 5 attack stages from its ability Justified. Cobalion uses Stealth Rock again, ruining Talonflame. Heatwave hits both opponents and does kill them, but we're in the same boat as before. Como-O and Terrakion show up, Rock Slide killing Houndoom, and the Z move from the Pseudo beating Luxray. Mega Zam gets out here now, but that damn Como-O goes first to whiff the Focus Blast! Good, important, and better, it dies to one Psychic. But then Terrakion's next Rock Slide viciously harms Alakazam. Donphan pays it back with a high horsepower to kill it immediately. Keldeo with a question mark appears next along with Vaporeon. Shooting Psychic at that is a gamble if it's Zoroark. I lose this gamble, and it responds with Dark Pulse to kill Alakazam. Donphan is drowned in Muddy Water again before it could act. Heracross and Pyroar come in, but after Pyroar's hidden power breaks the illusion and it dies to the responding Dark Pulse, Heracross gets bit by Mega Horn missing. Vaporeon's Muddy Water is so fucking powerful, it knocks out Heracross. With speed being such an issue, I go to Slowbro now to begin Trick Room, while Hawlucha gets rid of Zoroark. But yet again, Vaporeon takes another victim with Muddy Water, knocking out Hawlucha. With Trick Room up, Primarina arrives, but so does Togekiss. That's not a side Primarina can deal with. Psychic and Ice Beam only lower their HP somewhat, but Muddy Water and Dazzling Gleam takes Slowbro out. The worst thing of all happens then, when Vanillux comes out, and I find out that he's normally faster than Vaporeon. So after Togekiss faints to Primarina, our side collapses to another Muddy Water. That same move goes on to defeat our last two, Blaziken and Talonflame, both utterly helpless in Trick Room. I drastically need to extend my coverage on Alakazam, who gets both Focus Blast and Energy Ball. But we still don't have an answer for Cobalion's Stealth Rock. I need the Choice Scarf to go fast enough, but Heat Wave doesn't do it. But then I remember, Heat Wave's actual power in doubles is 25% lower than usual. So the answer is to put the Choice Scarf back on Houndoom and bring back Flamethrower. And this, in the next attempt, one-shots the Cobalion on its own before it could move. Weavile, though, decided not to try the beat-up strat again and went for Brick Break on Houndoom. But he lived it! Wild Charge doesn't beat the Weavile, and Seismitoad is here now. Weavile not dying is awful, because I know it's going to Ice Shard my Hellhound before he can burn up the Weasel. Muddy Water yet again shows itself from the Toad now, but Luxray survives this time to kill Weavile. Against a Seismitoad, Alakazam has a new grass move for it, but Keldark may be here again. Because of that, I can't let it stay since it kills Alakazam so easily, so I fire Focus Blast at it, but something else happened just then. Trace took over Water Absorb. Keep that in mind. Alakazam sinks the Focus Blast on what was the Zoroark and kills it. And then, Muddy Water fires from Seismitoad and did nothing to Alakazam. Holy moly, that was a turn. Luxray fainted, being replaced by Pyroar for some ridiculous reason, and their side sending out Togekiss. Now it's time to hit that double grass weakness on the Toad, killing it. But I'm annoyed that Pyroar wanted to do that too with an instant Solar Beam. It crits on the Togekiss but still only does a quarter, as Aura Sphere wrecks it in return. Vaporeon and Hawlucha are here now. Alakazam tries to fell another Pokemon with Energy Ball, but Vaporeon barely hangs on while Hawlucha bests Togekiss. Sadly, Alakazam's great effort comes to an end as he is slammed by Shadow Ball from Vaporeon. I bring out Slowbro now since other than Talonflame, who can bypass Trick Room with Gale Wings, the rest of my team is disadvantaged speed-wise. This is met with Como-O. Hawlucha is wicked fast though, and it takes out Vaporeon amazingly helpfully. When Clangorous Soul Blaze fires, I grit my teeth. Slowbro lived! Trick Room goes up as Primarina hits the field again, but so does Lucario. I don't like this board, but I make what was probably a bad play and focus up the Pseudo, which wasn't necessary. Primarina could have easily killed it by herself to leave Slowbro to use Psychic on Mega Lucario. This leaves Lucario full HP, and Slowbro faints to its Dark Pulse. Heracross is next, and finally, here's the real Keldeo. Now it's time to get mad at Primarina again. She used Moonblast on Lucario, not the Keldeo. Let me be clear about this. That Keldeo, like other select Pokemon in the legendary battles, has stats like a Pulse 2 Pokemon. 31 in all IVs, and 252 in all EVs. So why didn't she shoot the damn unicorn? Instead, we both focus down Lucario. But Heracross is able to take a Focus Blast even after losing special defense from close combat. Terrakion appears now, and I know that Primarina is going to hit that thing instead of doing the best play and hitting Keldeo. Instead, I have to go at Keldeo with close combat. Terrakion does faint, but Keldeo doesn't, and now Heracross falls. The left side is still going, sending out Virizion while I send out Vanillux. This was bad too, because now Gale Wings will get broken by Hail. Finally, Primarina takes down Keldeo, but so frustratingly my Blizzard does not kill Virizion, who cracks up Vanillux with Focus Blast. He gets the last laugh though, and beats it with Hail. There's still a Mega we didn't beat yet. Charizard Y, but we still have Trick Room, and Primarina should be able to take it out simply. Talonflame almost does it by himself with Brave Bird, and Primarina ice beams the foe dragon to bring an end to this monstrous battle. I can't believe that only took 3 attempts. I can guarantee you that I sat here for something like 20 last time. I was so miserable in this fight. The Focus Blast and Muddy Waters, I hated it. But at last, it's over. So now, the Spectral Swords of Justice fade away, leaving only Keldeo. Anastasia and I are on the same wavelength about how horrible that was. Okay, maybe not. But she steps back to let us then catch the Keldeo. When you see my team has been fully revitalized thanks to partner doubles, you might think I'll try to use Glitter Balls until I have to use a Reborn Ball. No. Reborn Ball. This heal shouldn't be squandered. It's too bad, because the Keldeo Shiny is very nice looking, taking pretty obvious inspiration. But that's not on my mind at this moment. Anastasia is even more impressed by us than when we fought her circus gym leaders, asking if she can borrow the Keldeo sometime for a show or two. With that, she invites us to get out of this place. Do not move. Save your game now, because as soon as you walk south, everything changes. A voice, partially distorted, comes from this being cloaked in shadow. A voice that speaks my name, and that we know already. You step forward, and that person is Samson. Anastasia, witnessing this with us, can't believe her eyes. She asks him how, beginning to mention Lynn. That's when Samson, if this really is him, roars out Lynn's name, remembering it was her who engulfed him in a black hole. He means to break every bone in her body. To which Anastasia nervously replies that she was defeated. She tries to ask him to come back with us to the circus, mentioning Ciel, and that's when Samson's attitude becomes much darker. He then assigns some blame to Ciel for getting trapped in the black hole. Because a man always has to save the woman, he says. After that, it doesn't matter what happens to the man. But he's ready to find a way to make her repay him. Anastasia's discomfort is very noticeable now, as she asks him if he's alright. He says he's never felt better, but Anastasia isn't sure. He accuses her of thinking he isn't good enough, which she tries to deny, but his mentality is severely warped. He says that men can only be angry or lustful, because anything else is looked down upon. He says there's no stopping this. These are the rules. As he turns to me thinking I know what he means. Anastasia then pleads for me to do something about this, to which Samson growls that a man's only worth is in his strength. He says if I think he's wrong, then I have only one choice. Beat it out of him. If you had thought that dread and despair left us, you're dead wrong. Because it's time for its final form. Ladies and gentlemen, Glitch X City's The Night Shade. And thus, we enter combat against Umbral Samson. And we've come to it at last. The final battle theme to reveal, emitting nothing but dread. The full-speed version of the theme that we heard against the worst monster in the game, the Pulse Mime. The music itself is nothing short of brilliant. One of Glitch X City's most bombastic pieces, the final rendition in this game of the music of both of Lavender Town's tracks. A track you can't help but feel total terror when it begins. It is right now that the tone of the entire post-game changes. This isn't just an adventure to fight and catch legendaries. This is life and death. As you now ponder the question, did Samson die? If not, then what's wrong with him? And if so, then who is this? The questions will continue to mount, all the way until the end. And during that time, the suffering will continue. There's something that needs to be explained now. Throughout this episode, only some Pokemon in some of the major fights have had the Pulse 2 treatment. Only Keldeo had it in the previous battle, and the 3 Swords had it during the first battle with them. The Weather Trio didn't have it at all. But Samson, his entire team, is fully maximized. The max level for this cap, all IVs, all EVs. The difficulty this brings cannot be overstated. This nerve-wracking fight begins with Blaziken, who is monumentally dangerous. But in this first exchange, it starts with Protect needlessly against Destiny Bond. Of course, that's because it wanted to speed boost. However, it tries Protect again on the next turn while my Destiny Bond fails. Because of this, it's now faster and kills Houndoom before another Destiny Bond arrives. Worse, agonizingly worse, is that when Talonflame outprowls it for Brave Bird, Pulse 2 lets it live. Talonflame falls to Focus Blast and I have to use Trick Room. But when I do this, Samson pulls the sped up Chicken for Pheromosa. I get a free Trick Room and a boosted Psychic can kill the Pheromosa. But he breaks away from his fighting type now to send out Miss Magius. A boosted serve only does a third before it uses Calm Mind to act like Gen 1 Amnesia. Psychic peels back one of those special defense stages on the next turn, but Shadow Ball kills Slowbro. Heracross has Shadow Claw and is able to bypass its special defense to knock it out. Blaziken comes back, but I make a mistake and bring out Alakazam and Mega Evolve him in a Trick Room. This means he has to take a Flamethrower, but he survives to beat it with Psychic, his own speed now boosting every turn. Next out, though, is Lopunny. And right about now, you may look at Samson's team and see that they are not assembled for types or anything, but for appearance, meeting one of those 2 emotions that Samson said men should have. My rules from the theme team stands here too. Mega Lopunny. I know as well that it is going to use Fake Out, so I taught Protect back to Alakazam to stop that. But there's a bigger problem. It also knows Quick Attack, and Alakazam won't survive that. I try to switch to Heracross then, but when she takes nearly half and then some more due to burn, I know it's over. It's worse than that, because Trick Room ended, Heracross is outsped and hit with Ashen Beach Strength to kill her. Alakazam's fate was determined when this bunny had Quick Attack, and Vanillix cannot stand the Mega Strength. This, yet again, demonstrates how utterly vital the remote PC is. If your team was not well designed, you could be completely unable to beat Samson here, and forced to white out to redo both the Keldeo fight and this one. But even with that key item, you'd better hope you have the items and Pokemon in reserve to better prepare. We engage Samson again, with Alakazam up front. He rams into its Protect, but I've traced Speed Boost, so now Blaziken can't get ahead of me. However, it goes one more infuriating step further. Focus Sash. Alakazam takes the Flamethrower anyway before finishing it. With all this speed, if only there was something he could do with it, but Lopunny is hopping back towards him. No one else has Protect right now, so I have to let him protect the Fake Out and feint to Quick Attack. Talonflame goes out to what I'm hoping will be a one-shot with Acrobatics. It isn't. Pulse 2 saves the Lopunny again, as it strengths Talonflame to red with a crit. Dead to Quick Attack. That amount of HP is little enough for a hail hit, so I go to Vanillux, then immediately move to Slowbro to resist the strength extremely well, and Lopunny goes away. But now I have to set up Trick Room against Pheromosa, and it cannot be done. Bug Buzz takes out Slowbro first. Choice Scarf Houndoom can actually outspeed that lightning quick bug, but a Jinx appears next, and it too holds the scarf, using its all-around superior speed to Houndoom's to one-shot him with Focus Blast. When I put out Heracross, I made an unfortunate play. Jinx gets pulled for Mismagius, and Megahorn hits it for lower damage. If I had used Shadow Claw, strong against both of them, that would have been a free one-shot. Mismagius almost kills Heracross with Psychic, but she powers through to claw the ghost and then pass out to Hail. Then comes the last unknown from Samson's team. The crown of this feminine team, Gardevoir. The very Pokemon that put him in this world. All that was left was the Clutch Master, and Ashen Beach's favorite move, Focus Blast, turns him to dust. We do this the same way again, but there's something else I realized in that last attempt. Right before Blaziken fell, it threw out one more Protect at 1 HP. That gives me an excellent opportunity. After taking Flamethrower and bringing Blaziken to 1, Alakazam uses Recover while the useless Protect happens. Now, he has way more HP to handle Quick Attack. Because of this, it isn't Lopunny who will show up next, but Gardevoir. I decide this will be the time for Trick Room. Slowbro takes the Moonblast in Trick Rooms, then throws back a Surf for 1/3 before fainting. But Trick Room betrays me this time. Gardevoir is slower than Heracross, who faints to the Psychic. A Gale Wings Acrobatics does not kill it, as it eats a Citrus Berry to undo that damage and kill Talonflame with Psychic. Neither does Blizzard kill it, and Vanillix falls again. Houndoom must also die before Hail finally gets rid of Gardevoir, who has utterly thrashed this attempt. With only Alakazam left, I try to run out my own Trick Room with Protect, but it doesn't happen, and Mismagius kills him. Every Pokemon on this team is threatening, and can answer what I'm doing with ease. If I want to deal with that Gardevoir again, it's time to use Shadow Ball some more. Alakazam and Slowbro each take it, and we start over again. Blaziken is exactly the same, but then I go and blow it by accidentally clicking too fast and using Psychic on Gardevoir. Amazingly, Alakazam doesn't die to Moonblast, but the Shadow Ball he throws after does not kill either. I hate blowing fights on misplays. I learned last time though that Heracross is faster, so Shadow Claw cuts down Gardevoir. To Jinx next, I put out Slowbro to go to war with it. Psychics and Shadow Balls fly back and forth, but Slowbro's super effective barrage ends the Jinx, leaving me with more than half of a Trick Room. I give up Slowbro to Lopunny's Fake Out, but Talonflame's Priority Brave Bird only does half. I end up wasting time and dying to Quick Attack anyway, Trick Room sputtering out. But with a few full HP Pokemon remaining, I can send out Houndoom to withstand a Quick Attack and burn away the Lopunny. Mismagius comes out next, but Heracross watches it Calm Mind, giving her the opportunity to Shadow Claw the Ghost. Once again, Pulse 2 keeps it alive, and it kills Heracross with Shadow Ball. This close to the end, Vanillix goes out to hail it, but then is one-shot by the overwhelming hidden power it has. Houndoom has the ability to outspeed it and finish it with Flamethrower, but now comes Samson's last remaining Pokemon, Pheromosa. Can he outspeed that, and does he kill with Flamethrower? Oh my god! There was never a more final turn than that. Speed determined that winner, and it was Houndoom. Thank goodness he still had Flamethrower to avoid the possible mischance, and that it was strong enough. The battle with Umbral Samson is over, and this quest for the Swords of Justice, including Keldeo, is complete, and the quests will only get harder from here. The shroud around the fighting gym leaders suddenly vanishes, Samson falling to the ground. A moment later, Samson groans at Alastasia's inquiry, complaining about the hangover he has. But when he gets up and looks around, he's not sure he isn't still drunk. When Anastasia sees that he is no longer acting so hostile and strange, she tells him that he was covered in a dark aura and was acting literally evil. At first, he doesn't seem to take it so seriously, but his memory begins to fill in, and he realizes all that he said. He thanks us for slapping sense into him, and tells Anastasia he wants to speak to her later, asking if we can leave now. She is glad to do so, but then clarifies with me that these sorts of expeditions are going to keep getting set up at the nightclub. Now that she's realized that this entire New World appearance is affecting humans as well as Pokemon, she wants to go and help however she can. She has one ulterior motive though. Maybe, somehow, they'll find Terra. Though quickly thinking maybe they shouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. They ask if you want to walk out of the New World with them, and whether or not you do is up to you. This time, Lynn will not have more snark for you. Return to the nightclub after this to find that once again, two things have happened. First, our post-game level limit has been extended to 120. Second, a brand new batch of characters has arrived. First off though, if you speak to Ciel, you'll find she reacts to the fact that Samson is alive. She makes it clear that she is very grateful, but now doesn't know what to do. How do you thank a person for saving your life at the cost of their own? No matter what though, she is happy. Samson is just up from her at the bar, but behind the bar is someone else. Elias. Samson once again thanks us for saving him and apologizes for the way he was when we found him. Then, Elias, of all the people who were told stories by Julia, has taken the one he heard to heart the most. He addresses us with utmost respect and reverence, calling himself humbled and beholden to us. That is because he has been told that I am the avatar of Arceus itself. Cool. He calls himself blind to it and seeks our forgiveness. Man, what a reversal of opinion. To the left are two high-powered gym leaders, Saphira and Titania. Saphira speaks to us with quite a bit more respect and friendliness, showing we have won her trust in some way. As for Titania, she had believed Julia's story that we had gotten the fuck out of Reborn after beating Lynn. That's about the most reasonable story possible. Instead of the idea that this is the 4th time I've done this. She says that she hopes she can leave someday soon too. Now, we have one more trio to show the shiny forms of, and I love this one. The Gen 5 Beasts decided to also have a costume party, taking on the color schemes of the Gen 2 Beasts. What a superb design choice. We have made it through another round of legendary quests and accrued yet more powerful Pokemon. However, it has become apparent that Lynn is far more active than we realized. Worse, something will brew in your mind, filling you with dread. What was going on with Samson? Why did he appear in the New World, unlike Luna, with the strange aura of darkness? Well, these questions are going to ring in your head even louder. You'll find that currently, only one quest is being offered. That quest will unite the threads together, and yet spawn even more questions. But above all, despair is far from finished with you.